Yeah. Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with
Trey Kennedy. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dave.
John.
You know, can I just say something that's just
Please do.
off the top of my head?
Go.
You know how we're always looking for resources that help us teach our kids and remind them of the really true, really important things about them?
Yes, and we are, John. I'm going to first
talk about it all the
you.
time.
I'm going to affirm you first. I'm so excited I can't say
I know it.
And y'all, and John, this is included. My friend Annie F. Downs,
She's my friend too.
better friend of mine, has a brand new kids book that needs to bump to the top of your list.
Take it all the way to the
You
top.
may know Annie from her podcast, That Sounds Fun. I know her from a lot of things, but that's one of them, okay?
Me too. We're
from the
super
network we're on together, the That Sounds Fun network, from her books for grown-ups, and even her first kids book, What Sounds Fun to You. But I wanted to be sure that you knew about this adorable new addition to her catalog. It's called So Happy to Know You.
Now, Dave, you knew all that stuff, which I already knew that stuff too, but did you know that the heart of this picture book is to help your children learn early and often that being exactly who they are is the greatest gift to them and to us? It's full of delightful illustrations that I did. Not really. I actually didn't.
You did.
And some alphabet fun.
Which I invented the alphabet, but go ahead.
That's true. Maybe not. And an A to Z look at all these special character qualities that can show our kids some of the amazing ways God created them.
And with her always Annie magic, and it is magic, Annie will teach the kids in your life to treasure how God made them special rather than trying to fit into others' expectations of them. Honestly, a message we could all learn from, right?
That's right. So happy to know you. I mean that, Dave, but that's also the title of the book.
Oh, I didn't know.
So Happy to Know You is out now, and you can grab your copy wherever or whenever you'd like to buy books.
Yeah.
Don't miss this chance to tell the kids in your life just how special they are with So Happy to Know You by Annie F. Downs. Available on Amazon and wherever books are sold.
How we doing?
Looking good, man.
Thank you. Sound good? Look good?
Thanks. Oh wait, you were
Yeah.
So are you? So you're in your podcast spot. That's like you're all in. You do it all.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the magic.
Got the studio here.
We recognize the plant.
We do.
Let's go. Right.
What's
have a
the
big
sweatshirt?
Go Chiefs.
Oh,
This is True Colors. I guess this is Travis Kelce's brand apparently.
oh, okay.
Nah, True Colors. Okay.
I don't know.
Got
It sounds like he just threw random words on the Chiefs merch.
It works.
Called it his
Print
own
it.
thing, but
Debbie, they
When
look
you're that
great.
good at
Print it.
football, it
you
works.
can do whatever.
It's good. Listen, this is a Dadville exclusive scoop, but apparently he and the old T-Swizz may be a little.
I started seeing
There's
that.
a little.
That's
There's maybe a little something there. You know.
Really?
That's just absurd.
Also,
I called that
years
like 8
ago.
years
My
ago.
gosh,
Yep.
it's one of the first things you said when we met each other. I mean, those are going to be some. Let's play it on, just like they get married.
Yeah,
Some
let's take it to the
monster
nth degree.
children. Because
Mhm.
she is a very tall individual. People,
She
that's
is.
something. I'm not sure people know that about her, but she's tall. Like not just like she's tall. She's like
Yeah, like if you really knew, you it's too tall.
yeah. You'd be like, I'm not listening to
No one would go to her
anything. I don't
show.
trust her
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
If people knew how tall she was, her music would not be near as successful.
Right. They would fall apart.
That's why so many NBA stars just can't get their music off the ground. Is they're just too tall. Trey, how you doing, man? Thanks for doing this.
I'm great. Yeah. Thank you guys for reaching out, and I can come on now. I'm a dad. I
well,
guess, so.
we
Yeah.
waited for so long. We were just like waiting, and then waiting. Not yet. And now.
Now's the time.
Now's the time. Because how old? Boy, right?
Little boy named Thomas. He's about 7 months.
Yes, you are.
7 months.
It is how all
That's
happens.
a great age. That is the age. Like my kids I have 2 girls who are 10 and 8. And whenever we're hanging with friends who have like a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old or whatever, there's like, every age is great, right? But there is a phase where it is really tough. And I don't, like, we leave and I'm like, I don't really miss, I mean, their kids are so cute, but man, I don't miss that time where you're just like bending over all the time, all day long. You're just bending over trying to keep them from falling off cliffs. But that 6 month, 7 month, that range, that's a great range.
Yeah. We've spent some time with some family who have like 14-month, 18-month, and that looked like a lot. So we're trying to cherish this now because he's like very officially not a newborn anymore. We're not like, and we're first time parents. You know, it's the first kid, so we've got out of that like, is he alive?
Stop breathing at any moment.
Possibly do, and so now it's like every time you touch him, he like laughs. It's still it's like a pet.
John is actually still like that, depending where you touch him.
Oh, sure.
That's kind of my thing. Yeah.
Every time you touch him, he laughs.
You get him under the armpit.
That just feels like one of those games. Remember, it's like Would You Rather, and that's a great half of Would You Rather. Like every time someone touches you, you laugh. Like every time. Just like a giggle, you know? I'd love that.
That's basically what it is.
I'd love that person over there. Okay, so people are listening. They know the dulcet tones, Trey. They know it because they've laughed to them. They've heard you sing. They're just having Pavlovian responses to the tone of your voice because they know it so well. They're so frequently amused by it. That feels like it's getting weird the longer I talk. So what we do is we do the brag sheet. So not that everybody doesn't know. Trey, you're everywhere, man. You are everywhere. But let's just give a little background here. I like starting with this one because this is an interesting tidbit to me. Received an MBA from Oklahoma State.
Yeah, go Pokes.
That's the MBA.
Yeah, people are like impressed by that. I don't know. I try not to diminish it too much, but man, it's Oklahoma State. I love them, but
are you offended by how impressed people are by that?
Maybe a little bit. It's kind of like when my mom comes to my comedy show and I'm like, "Are you so impressed by like my performance or the material?" She's like, "You memorized all of that? No cue cards? Like that's what anyone can memorize. That's not the part you're supposed to be impressed
Mom,
with."
you're not paying attention to the right thing.
She's like, I didn't hear a word you said, but I did count all the words.
I just couldn't believe you talked for that long.
That makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So was that like right after college, went right back, finished that, and then started everything?
It was. It truly was. And people are like, don't diminish it. You should be proud.
That's amazing.
It literally was.
Yeah.
No, it's cool and stuff, but it literally was. A friend of mine a year older than me did it, and it's like, hey, I get you hooked up at this scholarship where it's basically free, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'll just hang out in college for another couple of years because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah,
was really mainly it, and I did get my act together a lot more. I was goofing off in college, and I was like, all right, I just graduated. I don't have a clue where my life's headed. Maybe I'll stick around and grow up a little bit more and like not skip class and. So and I joined some weird made up like board of something, you know.
I saw that too.
I was starting to build the resume.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that, released his first EP, "Take Me to the River," in 2016. Since then, you've actually still released songs, which I think is really cool. Wrote his first book, "Dads Be Like, 'Tis the Season to Be Swaggy." How do you read that without laughing? In 2018, started his podcast, Correct Opinions, with Trey Kennedy in 2019. In 2020, released the web series Middle School Maddox on his YouTube channel, which I feel like I could say so many things about all these things. In 2022, put out his first comedy special called "Are You For Real?" And then amassed, man, this is so incredible to me, a massive social media following with 1.23 million subscribers on YouTube, 4.8 million followers on Facebook, and 2.9 million on Instagram. These are probably all bigger now. Fun facts, which I love these. Our producer always throws these in. Wife is a biomedical engineer.
Yeah, that one actually is impressive. She earned that one.
That is really cool.
Georgia Tech.
Oh, okay, which is, man, that's like Georgia Tech is serious, man.
It's funny to meet because I went to Oklahoma State school. You know, they let anyone in. It's a lot of fun. College is like the classic. Like, man, remember when we didn't do anything? That was cool. And her friends, Georgia Tech, they're like, college was the worst 4 years of my life. They're like, they studied every day. I mean, it was insane to hear their stories. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's full tilt.
Very different.
And then first video, I think this is so cool that you posted your YouTube channel was your cover of Tennessee Whiskey. Is that
wow?
Is that true?
Yeah. Fun fact. Yeah, so that's a cool little rap sheet there. I haven't thought about some of those in a while, but I kind of I went viral online for both some like silly comedic stuff, but also just like cover
Yeah, yeah,
singing. And so my introduction into kind of like the entertainment performance world was more singing. And I was like, I'm going to be a
right,
singer,
right.
and was doing the classic, especially back in the day when like YouTube covers were like
Yeah, yeah,
huge,
yeah.
Boyce
Mm-hmm.
Avenue and all that
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
a lot of those have been lost into the ether or removed or something, but I was kind of putting those out, and I think that quick one of Tennessee whiskey I like is this on a phone with me and my buddy, and it got decent views, but I was kind of trying to do that thing for a while, and then the comedy kept seeming to work better and fit me a little bit
Well,
better. So I
that's
ran
something
more
that I
with that.
want.
But
It's funny you bring that up. That's what I was so curious about because I mean you can sing, like you know what I mean. It's not something where
thanks.
it's like, you're like like he's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like I remember, that was probably my first because it was Vine, right? Wasn't a lot of this Vine?
Yeah, I was like, that Vine was the
Yeah, yeah.
big jumping pad for all of it. So there'd be little six
Yeah,
second
yeah, yeah.
covers.
But I remember
Or,
thinking
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh man, okay, like this is like you can sing." So was that a weird shift in your brain going from like, "All right, this music thing," and then the comedy stuff catches, and you're like, "Go there," or were you kind of equal opportunity to either or both?
it was trying different things. So the singing was my introduction to getting on stage. Like in college, I made some good friends who were musically inclined. They pushed me to sing. I was getting
Oh
encouraged, like
wow,
you can sing, and so I was like, okay, people are telling me I can sing. I guess I could sing. I enjoy singing. It turns out, I had a knack for it, but I was always the funny guy, and comedy is definitely more my default. I remember like trying to do the music thing, and we'd go out and like do a photo shoot, right, for like the EP, and it's you got to supposed to be like cool guy,
Right.
and
Right.
like even that I struggled with it so much. I'm like, I can't. This
yeah,
is
yeah.
everything in me is like make this goofy or something. So
Well, and
as I
it's
got
like if you're the comedy guy, you can't really do that pose because no one's
yeah,
going to take it seriously.
and yeah, I think there's an element of like, does this guy think he's Usher or is he Jim Carrey? Like we don't know what's going on because I post both.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Right. Right.
So and then the comedy started working better. I felt more comfortable being goofy. And so a lot of stuff that started going viral post Vine was like putting the two together where I'd just be like, national anthems be
Oh yeah,
like, and
yeah,
I would
yeah,
just
yeah,
sing
yeah, yeah.
insane runs and
Yeah.
stuff where it was both like funny and people would be like, oh, he can sing. And so that was my shtick for a good long while. And it just kept leading to more and more jokes and comedy. And I still try to work in the music and singing because I do love it, but
That's more the thing.
that's kind of the
The
journey.
thing that's
So
well, no, you go, John. You go.
I'll go.
Go, please
Dave,
go.
I'll go.
I'm so sorry.
I'll go. Well, I was going to ask you what your relationship was like with music because I have known of you for I don't know a couple years now, and it started with my wife. We would be like laying in bed, and she would maybe like once a month she would be like, "Babe, he's got another good one. You got to watch this," and would crack up. There was many times where my wife and I would just be dying laughing at one of your videos. And then it wasn't until I think this morning where I was researching stuff about you for the interview that I was like, I'm listening to your music in the kitchen. I'm like, this guy can really sing. Like, I wonder what is his relationship like to music now, and not just, not the comedy music stuff, but like if you could like break yourself up into two different people, would you do it so you could kind of have that music career and also keep your comedy thing going, or what's that like now?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I definitely have ideas in the back of my head, and as you guys know very well, it's a matter of what's worth your time, and
Mhm.
I did that first EP in like 2017 when it was like I'm trying to be a legitimate artist. I was trying to get signed like a record deal. I was trying to do all that, and um, had some meetings and stuff, and it kind of came down to it where I noticed at a couple. I just had a couple like meetings that in hindsight probably weren't that legitimate, but on the baby steps. I remember they'd be like, "So, do you want to do this?" I think I'd even like straight up in like the interview with a record label be like, I mean, kind of, and I'd like leave. I was like, oh, yeah, I don't think I want to do this that bad.
Uh-huh.
Like move to LA and like grind
Yeah.
and develop as an artist and like try to be cool singer guy. I was like, man, yeah. And when I was confronted with like the first glimpse of like, go for this, I was like, man, I don't.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah.
So, and then as time went on, I built the comedy thing. I went back and did another EP that's like trying to be good, legitimate music, but with a comedic tilt where we wrote and produced a whole song about being caught in the friend zone.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun, and that, you know, got a decent reaction, but it becomes an element of like, now I'm grateful to have a lot of opportunities comedically. I've got to really focus on what's working. But I do have hopes of down the road I can do something more with music, whether that's like legitimate, just very different. It's like real music, or there's some still comedic angle to it, or whatever. But I'd still like to do it down the road.
It is. It's so interesting to me. I feel like I don't know if I'm right when I say this, but I feel like if people are presented with a choice between laughing really hard or hearing really great music, I feel like 98% of the time they want to laugh. And so the dilemma you have sometimes when you're both funny and musical is that it's just the lower hanging fruit because there's so much less work involved. You know, you just listen and laugh. There's not sort of music you have to engage and as much as it's powerful. But I think that's always an interesting thing to me. Like I'm always so fascinated by that because I think I have a lot. I mean, John's hysterical. It's like, there's a lot of friends I know that are really funny, and I'm like, man, if they tried this. But I think knowing they're good at music, you always have this problem because I think people have a hard time, I think, holding both. They're all, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think comedy always has been, especially now in the social media age, the barrier to entry. I mean, you could just kind of put up your phone in front of your face and be funny, but it's like you can't just. I mean, you can kind of sing a little bit, but you can't be like, in 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how I make great music.
Right.
It's like, no, you got to get in a studio. And so I think that's part of it too. And what a lot of people don't realize is it's a lot of, if you can do it all, it's a whole lot of time. And if you can't, which most can't do it all, you've got to pay people pretty good money to produce or.
John.
Oh, Dave. I thought we were counting off.
Oh,
I'm just gonna go.
Are you ready? And when I say, are you really really ready for fall?
Oh, I am so ready.
Okay.
Like so ready that I cannot wait, but I'll have to.
You do.
But I don't want to.
Okay.
I mean, Dave, cooler temperatures.
Yeah.
Changing leaves. You know how much I love leaves, especially when they're changing.
I know.
And all the special fall flavors start hitting the store shelves and coffee shops.
Fall flavors, you say?
That's right.
Well, you're going to want to try my new concoction, Johnny.
Okay.
John.
What is it?
I made it in a giant cauldron. I didn't really have a lot of time, so I combined all the fall flavors into one delicious warm beverage.
It smells interesting.
Awesome.
Okay, what do you have in there?
It's pumpkin spice apple cider with cranberry infused candy corn topped with maple brown cinnamon pears and salted caramel ginger. Here, try just a little bit of it.
I see. I wish
Just
that I
please
could,
try it.
but as luck would have it, I don't have anything to put it in, so I'm going to have to, pass.
No, John, not to worry. I just received my new Voyager coffee mugs from Simple Modern. Here, you can have the far screen one. That's my least favorite one.
Oh, God, the Voyager is awesome, but that drink is tasty.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. You I can tell. Feels like you don't like it. That's what it feels like. I'm reading here.
Well, listen. Here's what I do like. Simple Modern, Dave. They have the best water bottles, tumblers, coffee mugs, and more for the fall season.
Ooh.
Speaking of cauldrons, Dave, they even have a new Harry Potter collection, along with Marvel characters, NFL teams, that's National Football League, and so much more. So go to simplemodern.com/dadville, and by sharing your email, you'll get a unique discount code just for you. It's different than all the other ones, just like you. Or bundle and save for back to school. This should be your go-to brand for your family.
John, shh. Oh, sorry. Do you hear that?
Yeah, are those crickets? Are they? Feels like they're nearby. I fear crickets, Dave.
Look,
are those crickets?
John, it's not actual crickets. It's just a sound effect.
Oh my gosh.
And it means that it's a sale you just missed out on because you're not selling on Shopify, John.
I blew it. But I'm still glad that it wasn't crickets.
Well, maybe you'll like this sound effect better. Okay, buckle up. Here's what it sounds like with Shopify.
Oh, that sounds so much better.
Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide.
That's right, Dave. Whether you're a garage entrepreneur or IPO ready, like Dadville is, Shopify is the only tool you need to start, run, and grow your business without the struggle.
Gosh, you are so right, John.
Thanks,
Shopify
man.
puts you in control of every sales channel.
All of them.
So whether you're selling satin sheets from Shopify's in-person POS system or offering organic olive oil on Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform, you're covered.
You are crushing it in both of those industries right now.
I used to use them for tanning, but I don't anymore.
Also, once you've reached your audience, Shopify has the internet's best converting checkout to help you turn them from browsers to buyers.
Oh, I love that B2B.
Yeah.
What's incredible to me about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify is there to empower you with the confidence and control to take your business to the next level.
That's right. Dave, did you know this? Shopify powers 10% of you didn't know that. All e-commerce in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's insane. And Shopify is truly a global force, powering Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen. Also, millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 170
Plus,
countries.
John, listen to this that you don't know. Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way.
Step of the way.
This is possibility
powered by Shopify. I did know that. Also,
yeah.
sign up for a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/dadville, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/dadville to take your business to the next level today.
Can we both tell them this, John? Here we go.
Yeah.
Shopify.com/dadville. So tell me this. I'm so fascinated with this. So what was it like? I mean, I feel like you were, you kind of came in on the ground floor with a lot of sort of the viral humor. I mean, like Vine was, I really loved Vine, and paid attention to a lot of comedy, including yours on there. And it was so funny because what a weird way to make something funny. And I mean, it was so short. It was just like, which was great if you could figure it out, because man, it was like, but you did that, you then transitioned to the other platforms and now have this great career. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like going from like, you're hanging with your friends at OSU or whatever, post grad school, whatever, and you post something and then somebody's like, dude, have you looked at that? And you're like, there's like 1 million views. And it's just you and your bros watching Monday Night Football. And every 10 minutes, you're like, there's another 300,000, to go into where it is now. But you were one of those guys that were kind of in on the beginning of that sort of thing, where things catch and they go viral. And I remember, too, being curious with some of the people that I love so much on Vine going, are they going to be able to sort of make that two-step over to the platform? Because it's such a different type of humor. Now you got a minute or you got, I don't know, whatever you want on YouTube. But like, what was it like? I'm so curious to know, especially the beginning where you're like, holy cow, this is kind of like working. Did you suddenly get into rhythms with it, or was it, I'm just going to do it when it's funny? Or, how much were you thinking about that?
Yeah, I was 19 in college. Like I described earlier, a lot of free time, goofing off, and just it's wild when I do podcast stuff like this. I mean, it's just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I've been doing it that long. And I remember one of my first like light bulb moments was I saw this guy who had, 50,000 followers on Vine. I was looking at his Vines. I'm like, oh, these are good. And then so I start Googling like, who's this guy's obviously, some famous person I'm not aware of. And I start to realize like, this is a normal guy who got 50,000 followers from that idea didn't really even exist 10 years ago. It was like, if you have followers, you were a famous person that signed up for Twitter.
Yeah. Right.
And so that was the first of like, I can just become famous by being funny on the internet. And so I got into like, just trying, in my head, I'm like, what if I got like 5,000 followers?
Right.
That was back in the day when you had maybe 100 followers and you're like, the popular person on campus had 500.
Yeah.
What is this person doing? And I slowly got up to, I had a couple, it was like more singing videos, and it went up to 5,000, 10,000. And I remember friends were going nuts, and we were all like, dude, I bet you might end up getting 50,000 followers. And posted a few videos that did the whole overnight, like wake up to tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands. And that 3 months later, I had 1 million followers.
Jeez Louise.
And it was really
3 months.
Intense. Yeah.
That's insane.
Because there was only like, I was probably the 10th person on Vine to get 1 million followers.
Wow.
Like there was like 20 of us.
Yeah.
And it just happened really quickly And like, it's just fascinating because now if someone gets 1 million followers, I think everyone knows like your life's about to change.
Yeah.
You quit your job, you're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, I was like, well, that's cool.
As you're eating
so
at
go to
CC's Pizza, cranking through
I
buffet.
mean, yeah. Yeah, no, $0 of any kind. I didn't even cross my mind to make money off it. I was
Right.
just like, this is kind of a fun thing I did. I go back to school, go back to class, and I got hit up by an email with this guy's like, hey man, I'll pay you like $300 to promote this like phone case I made on the internet or something random. I was like, cool. And I just made a Vine of like this phone case that, got 4 million loops, they called it, which, that's like today some kid would get paid who knows how much for that. And that was the very beginnings of like, wait, that makes sense. I have something valuable here. And that was really, and then stuff started coming in and pouring in, and slowly over the years that by the end of college, I was kind of did the MBA too. Cause I'm like, I'm making like a full-time living.
By
no one
then
really
you
knows
were.
it. Yeah. I mean,
Jeez.
I didn't need money at all. I was still applying for jobs because I had no belief this would turn into a career. I was still like, I mean, what am I going to do? Make Vines for the next 30 years? But there was an element of like, I mean, I guess I'll stick around in college. I'm making money off of this. I don't know where it's headed. This is confusing. So
what is your relationship like with, like when you were talking about earlier, where you started having those experiences where you post a video, you go to sleep, the next morning it's got like 15,000 more views than when you went to bed. What is your relationship with the work like in that regard? Like for Dave and I, it's the equivalent of, we put a new song out and we've got our, we hope that we get some playlists. You just like, but you have to square up to the reality and your expectation, and this song didn't do as well as that song, all that kind of stuff.
of course,
you're at a level where from the outside looking in, sure, everybody would be like, oh, he's made it. He's good. But we both know that you've got some relationship with that and your expectations with this video and the videos that you wanted to, hit a certain spot that didn't or whatever. What's that like for you now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you guys totally get it. It comes in these waves and the target's always changing, and it's always the same too, right? It's always like you make up this new target and you're bummed if you hit it. You don't hit it, you're pumped if you do. Right. It's at the start. And like I haven't even really thought of this since, but it's insane. Like I got to 1 million followers so fast. All my videos were getting, there wasn't even really views on it yet. It was just likes, but there was just a tab on that app where all the top liked videos went. So it was just a goal to get on there. And I was just obsessed, having fun. It was a challenge. Nothing mattered. It wasn't my job. It wasn't even making money. It was just fun. And then as time went on and I got years into Vine, and you start to see maybe views go down or things change. And yeah, I remember like I'd post a video that would only get like 3 million views and I'd be like devastated, which like in hindsight, it was such a wild west of social media where if you were just one of the top people on there was no algorithm hindering you. It was just like
it's going.
Like now social media prioritizes like smaller creators and like, but if you had 5 million followers, they just sent it to 5 million followers.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, it was like, man, I was living the dream, but I had a certain number in my head like I do now. And I've been doing it long enough where I feel like I'm in a good headspace, but it was probably 3 years into it, really, when I had that first big moment of like, oh man, I'm kind of tying too much of myself up into this. And
right.
And you get, oh man, are people unfollowing me? Am I a piece of crap? You start doing all that. So
was there a moment that you noticed like where, you went out for, or maybe like, especially if you traveled during that time for spring break and then people are recognizing you? Was that happening?
That was a big part of, I probably had as I was that 2 or 3 month span where it popped, I probably had 2 or 3 instances where, cause I was in Stillwater, Oklahoma. You see the same people, but I'd go back home to Oklahoma City or something and go out to the mall and some kid I'd be like checking out at KFC and be like, wait, you make those Vines? And I was a shy kid. So I start another kind of light bulb moment of like, there's real people following me. It didn't even occur to me when I got 1 million followers, like now people say hey to me. And so that was a big moment too, where I debated kind of stopping making videos. I'm like, is this?
Wow.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't. Do I want to walk around in public and have people holler at me? Like, as minimal as it was, it wasn't very often, but that was another big moment too, where I was like, because I didn't like attention at all at that point, at least publicly.
Yeah.
Because of the shy. Now I love it. And if it ever went away, I'd be devastated. But yeah, that was a big weird time too, where I was like, okay, kids are walking up to me. It was weird too because Vine was. I mean, I was 19 making like homework jokes.
Yeah.
So I had like 13-year-olds running up to me like I was Justin Bieber. So that has stopped, and it's like a bunch of people like
more
our age, which is very pleasant.
Yeah.
But that was weird for sure.
But you're like,
okay, I want to ask what may end up being like, because you guys are both comedians, so this may end up being the ridiculous question that the non-comedian of the group asks, because I'm overthinking what it's like to create comedy. So forgive me if this is ridiculous, but like one of arguably my favorite videos of yours is, I don't know the actual title of it, but it's the right left, where you personify the right and the left.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Trey.
It is so good.
It is genius. That video is genius.
That's awesome. See, I feel like real creatives like yourself appreciate, because that's one I'm like, I really spent extra time on. And
bro,
it's like,
you know what? I think it's so good. And John and I watched it together this morning, like just to be like, let's get in the headspace. And the thing that is so because to me, there's like different levels to humor. I mean, like there's everything, but there's like funny. Like you're like, oh, that's funny. I buy high fives. That was funny. But then there's like that where you're like, oh, this isn't just funny. He sat down to make hooks throughout the thing where they both say the same thing, and that are actually profound. And you're like
if anyone's listening who hasn't seen this video, you should pause the podcast, watch the video, and then
it's kind of humor at its highest form,
and like and subscribe.
It's not just hit like button.
Sure,
but like it's high. It's the highest form of humor because it's not just humorous. It's like profound. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of go, but it's so good, dude. It's so good.
Thank you. Yeah, I do think what's naturally me in my core is more lighthearted humor. Like I'm sure as you guys are in the content game, you start to get tempted to be like the next great philosopher or something,
Right.
So I try to like not, but that one was flexing that muscle a little bit, and it was fun. That was birthed from literally like hanging out with two of my friends, one who's super liberal and one who's super conservative, and they both like in different conversations. Well, actually separate. I talked to them separately, and they both talked about how they don't watch the NFL. And I was like, that's fascinating because it's for such different reasons. I'm like,
right.
And it's like, and you start thinking like, there's so many ways that like the far ends of the spectrum like kind of land in the same spot in like weird different ways. They don't even realize it. Okay, time out really quick. Sorry guys, I didn't realize my laptop's this show. Can I just grab my charger?
Please do.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
This is the second.
What can we do to pick this up and save this interview? Because it's not going.
He's so mean.
I didn't expect him to be just so bitter.
If he had,
you know what I mean?
If he had clothes on, I could focus more.
I know that distracted me too.
Yeah.
In the beginning,
and just pull the camera up.
And does he have to do all the poses? I don't get that.
It helps.
I mean,
it helps. I will say that it does help.
Yeah.
If also you could put your clothes on, just FYI. I know you're trying to make.
I wanted him to feel good about his decision to not wear clothes.
Him seeing you is not making him feel better.
Okay, you can tell that.
That's 100%. As we're whispering.
All right,
there we go. I heard the sound.
Boom.
Okay, so here's my eye roll question. Because what makes that video so great, like Dave was saying, there's a guy getting hit in the head with a mallet, right? There's like, that's this comedy. And then there's like profound truth that is making a statement on like our society at the moment. That video has both and layers between and all that kind of stuff. Do you start with like an interesting concept and try to make it funny? Or do you find yourself getting hit on the head with a mallet and be like, well, how can I tie this to culture right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more finding, kind of what you said the first time, finding the idea and then making it funny. I think as a comedian, and as time's gone on, I got more confident. It's kind of like a fun challenge. Like I believe I can make anything funny to some degree. It's more so just what's the thing that's going to resonate with people or people relate to, or what's big happening now. So I think when I made that video, the whirlwind of those couple of years of left versus right and all that, and those just moments of inspiration, like two of my friends saying they won't watch the NFL, and it's like, oh, that's interesting, and you just sometimes it hits you and you just run with it, and it kind of comes together, and sometimes it's we spend hours writing a script that's like all woven together, and it's kind of disappointing, and there's times where I just like get into a character and improv for 30 minutes and it goes crazy viral. So it's always like confusing and frustrating, but like in a great way. You never know.
Do you ever? How many have you done where you're like halfway through and you're like, this isn't funny? Like you can just feel. Like
what's on the cutting room floor that we don't see?
There's a decent amount of videos that hardly get posted because you start to even during the shoot. Sometimes you're most of the time, even shooting it, you're still like, okay, I think that's decent. There's rarely times where even in the middle, I'll be like, I think we just need to move on. This isn't. But then sometimes you see the edit. I almost always know once I see the edit and I watch it, and there's almost this weird part of, even though it's my video, I'm like, I just really enjoyed watching that. Mm-hmm. And there's sometimes where I'm like, darn, that didn't really come out the way I really thought.
I was imagining it.
And I'd have to imagine that you are having to deal with responding to people with such a following that you have on all these platforms. People are, especially if you're doing a video where you're commenting on anything political, even though that video that we're referencing is making neutral statements about both sides, all that kind of stuff. How do you sort of police that for yourself? Are you like, you know what, I'm not going to read the comments, or I'm just going to dive in full in and respond to everybody?
Yeah, the best part of doing this for so long, especially comedy for so long, is I sometimes feel like a sociopath because I'm like, not at this point, I don't respond to anything anyone says, really. Now even being on stage, I mean, my fans are really great and nice, normal people, but there's still times where something insane will happen. I got booed a few weeks ago, and then it's like, 8 years ago, I would have just cried and left. Yeah. But then, and now I'm a sicko, and I was like pumped. I was like, now I'm going to make fun of this person. It's sometimes it's worrisome, but it doesn't bother me. And when you go into political stuff, which was, I always said I didn't want to do, but it was almost like impossible for a few years there. Mm-hmm. It was so prevalent. So I really was like, we're going to make fun of both sides, do the classic thing. And there's just no, like the video you're referencing, left versus right, make fun of both sides. You'll see comments. People will be like, yeah, Biden's the worst. Trump 2024. Like, I made fun of you too. What, did you watch it? People will just take what they want to. It's just so confirmation bias. And I'm like, whatever. Yeah. I mean.
Dave, I've been reading Rooted, okay? The NIV Bible for Men, and I can't put it down. Have you checked it out at all?
Oh, yeah. I love it. Okay, so not just you, it's also me loving it. It's new from Zondervan Bible Publishers, designed to help you connect with your identity in Christ. It's Rooted, Dave. Yep. The NIV Bible for Men, and Flourish, the NIV Bible for women. Dave, what is so good about Rooted?
I've been sitting here wondering if you're going to ask this, okay? Yeah. Sometimes I got a million thoughts running through my little Enneagram 7 brain, okay? Mm-hmm. So I love the summary of talking points and questions at the beginning of each book of the Bible. It helps center my focus about what I'm trying to read and what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Another cool thing is the profiles that it has on certain people in the Bible. Yep. Rooted goes a little more in depth about important figures and also the roles that they played.
Yeah, other features include myth articles that expose commonly accepted myths of our culture and refute them with God's word, which is awesome. It has notes that offer clarity into the attributes of God and has questions for growth that you can answer alone with a friend or in a small group.
Both of these Bibles, Flourish for Women and Rooted for Men, offer the knowledge, strength, and clarity to navigate life's challenges with Scripture as your guide.
And Flourish, the NIV Bible for Women, and Rooted, the NIV Bible for Men, are available both both in hardcover and leather soft styles.
Find out more and order your copy at amazon.com/rootedandflourish.
That's amazon.com/rootedandflourish. Oh, John.
Dave.
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Oh, I got to tell you, that's why I'm rubbing you can see just how much I'm rubbing my belly here. I
Yeah,
just
with
made
both
the
hands.
Instant Pot baby back ribs recipe from Butcher Box, Double B, and it was absolutely amazing.
That sounds amazing. Do you have any left?
John, those things were gone in mere minutes. Okay, why would you even ask?
Bummer.
Yeah.
Look, I need my meats, Dave.
Yeah,
I
I
say
feel
it all the time, arguably too much. I need my meats. How do I get my very own supply from Butcher Box?
I know. Just chill out, okay?
Okay.
It's so easy. The only hard part is deciding which meats to choose, John.
Okay. What are some
my
of your
favorites?
favorites?
I think it's that.
Oh, yeah.
I usually go with the mixed box.
Yeah.
Okay, it comes with
Yeah.
grass-fed beef. Don't give me...
Only grass.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started. Free-range organic chicken and
They
pork
are so free.
raised crate free.
Oh. All right. So what if I wanted just straight beef?
Hey, now you're talking. Okay, just go to Custom Box All Beef and have Butcher Box shipped right to your door.
You know what, Dave? It sounds like I certainly have no beef with the benefits of Butcher Box.
I knew I lobbed it, and I just wanted you to spike it.
I knocked it out of the ballpark,
different
to use a
sports
sports reference. Let's give the people a little bit of time to stop laughing, and then I'll pick right up. Here we go. Okay, it beats the prices at the grocery store, Dave, and it's high-quality meat and seafood that you can trust, humanely raised with no antibiotics or added hormones.
John,
Get 'em
I've
out
never
of there.
trusted seafood, and now I do.
Now you can.
It's delivered free right to your doorstep, and box plans are customizable in both size and frequency.
That's right. A variety of high-quality cuts at an amazing value, plus exclusive member deals, recipe inspirations, guides, tips, and hacks. Now, Dave, it's time to tell them about our special deal. Tell them.
I thought you'd never ask. Butcher Box is giving us a special deal because we are special. And you are special.
You're special.
Sign up today at butcherbox.com/Dadville and use code Dadville to get $20 off your first order.
That's butcherbox.com/Dadville and use the code Dadville to claim this offer.
So one of the things that I was laughing at watching your videos this morning, which I was thinking, like, does your wife ever is she ever or is that me? Are you doing me right now? Or where you're like, she's halfway through a conversation. Don't grab your phone. I know I said that wrong, but do not grab your phone. Because you're like, no, I'm sure I write down exactly how you mispronounced.
She's I think I take for granted what a good sport she is, and she just doesn't care at all, and I think she fully trusts me. She's really never spoken up. It's more like my mom or my sister. They can get a little bit like, all right, we're making fun of my but they're still good sports. Like, my parents came to my show, and some materials about them, and this is I grew up with a sweet Christian mom. This is a great caricature of her. I was like, Mom, was there anything that offended you? I just want to make sure. And she's like, the one joke about, you kind of mentioned, when you and Katie. I was like, no, when I talked about you, I'm not the whole thing. She just thought I was doing a check of the G rated. Well, you went you pushed it there. That wasn't quite clean enough. I was like, that's not what I was asking.
Come on, Mom.
She's like, oh yeah, you can talk about me all you want. I think my parents get a kick out of it. But you forget to, part of my set on stage, I make fun of, I make fun of what my cousin named their child, and they come to the show and and it's like, oh yeah, I've done that so many times now. I was like, I didn't even cross my mind that you were literally there, and they're good sports and stuff, but there's a balance of it is all inspired by real life. But
I don't know who said it, but there's some famous quote from some author that was like, if your family and friends aren't, I'm butchering this, but if your family and friends aren't a little bit mad at you or something like that, you're not really writing. You guys heard that?
Ooh, I like that.
Somebody said that.
I thought you were going to say, I've heard before, if you need to make sure that everything I'm saying about whoever, if they were in the room, would I still say?
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Which I think is a great rule. And it's funny. I made fun of another kind of friend of ours, inspired by, clearly, and they couldn't make it to the show when my other friends did. Oh, dude, if they were there, would you have said that? I'm like, yes, this is my
Yeah,
material.
yeah,
What kind of monster would I be? I was like, oh, they can't make it tonight? Listen to
Well,
this. It's like, that's not what I did.
that is amazing.
okay, so we were talking about Vine earlier, and I forgot to ask this. Because Vine popped up. I don't necessarily always have my ear to the ground on what's cool. So maybe it could have been, hot for longer than what I thought. But it Vine, whatever happened, it went away. But that was your start. That's where you got your start on Vine.
It was hugely popular from like 2013 to 16.
Yeah.
Really.
And, I remember when MySpace was the thing. Like you were talking about, like an Aware store. Dave, remember Aware store?
Oh, yeah.
You were talking about where you would like wake up in the morning and check, like, did my video get on that thing? That used to be Aware store for us. And both of those things sort of go away. And there's a moment where they start to, secede, where you're like, I'm losing my platform. Like, it's a little scary. Was that your experience at all with Vine, or were you like, no, there'll always be some new platform. I'll get big on TikTok now or whatever?
No, that was a great learning lesson, which now, like you said, I'm on everything now and I'll never make that mistake again. But there's a lot of savvy kids on Vine who'd have millions of followers on Vine and turn that into 500,000 Instagram followers. And I was just like, I was still very pressured. Like if a kid now, like we're saying, you get 1 million followers, everyone knows your life's going to change. You're going to make money. You also are cool. Like 10 years ago, I got 1 million followers and some people thought it was cool. And then also half the campus was like, how many videos is this guy going to make in his dorm room? Like, what is he? And so I was like bullied. It's like, now I'd be the coolest kid on campus.
Right.
And I was like, I would be like out at the bars and I'd see people like pointing and laughing. I'll never forget.
That's amazing.
It's like, they talk about how like internet trolls, like they never do it in person. Well, in college they do. Those kids have guts back in the day. I was in line for like a late night hot dog on my college campus. And there's a group of people in front of me. There's something out of like a movie. And they go, hey guys, look. It's Vine extraordinaire Trey Kennedy. And they all laughed in unison. And my buddy leans over and goes, don't listen to him. And I was like a moment where I was like, what is happening? Why? It was like,
that's tough.
Well, all jokes aside, I was legit bullied.
You nailed it though, because there was this perception at the beginning of like, oh, that's like a guy or girl who sits in whatever room and shoots these how dare you think you're that cool to do that? We're now,
like, even now, I told you, I was like, I was making money, and you're like, really? I mean, no. And I'm really glad and grateful. I never was like, well, guess how I'm making money. I just kept that to myself. But no one, people's jaw would hit the floor if I was like, well, I'm making a full-time living doing this. They would have been like, what? They just thought I was.
Well,
a lunatic.
And I think that's what's so fascinating. I'm so glad you said that, because I think it's hard to realize that anyone younger, especially, but those of us from their 40s know this a little better. But like, there was a time where that really it wasn't cool. It was just so foreign. It was like, wait, hold on. So you're telling me during the day you're going to go in a room and shut the door and like film yourself? Like it really you would have. You'd have gone, well, that is he okay? Is everything? Did we check on him?
And I was, because going to Oklahoma State, I mean, no one there has on their mind to like be a performer or entertainer, so that there's that extra element. And I definitely held back on some of my dreams and some of the things I was ideating on because of that pressure. And like, I didn't build my Instagram because like Instagram was the thing and everyone was on it. So I felt like if I started blowing that up, I'm just going to get bullied more. Now they're really seeing it. So I let that get to me. And to answer your question, when Vine starts falling apart and disappearing, every influencer, every Viner is trying to get their following to other platforms. But by the time Vine was deleted, I had 2.6 million followers, and it deleted. And then my Instagram had like 40,000.
Wow.
So I was pretty much back to square one.
Yeah.
And this was as I was wrapping up my MBA, and I was applying for jobs. I was getting nowhere. I was trying to, this is again, it's just too soon. I'm trying to convince marketing agencies. I was like, well, I think I'm creative. Maybe that's the role. I was like, look what I've done on social media. I've worked with Pepsi. I've worked with Dunkin' Donuts. And they're like, social media. I don't.
Wow.
They weren't even prepared for that. So I kind of was like, got angry. I was like, dude, forget all this corporate stuff. I so disagree with them. Like, let's try to build this back up. And thank God I was able to get viral on Instagram and Facebook. And
it's probably makes you appreciate it all the more. Like for so early in your start to have to kind of go back to square one, you know?
Yeah. And the new challenge of 60-second videos and it builds confidence too, right? It's like, it's not, I wasn't some fluke who could do 6-second videos. It's like, okay, I'm able to make these videos longer and maybe I can do this. And I think any person, any entrepreneur, especially like a creative and stuff, when you hit maybe those first big songs or videos, there's certainly in the back of your head, like, can I replicate this?
Right.
And it takes replicating it a lot for you to finally, especially me, to finally sit back and be like, okay, I can do this in some capacity. My career's not going to end any day now. I think I can do some part of this.
Do you have some version of the, like, you know, like for us, like every song we write feels like that's the last song I'll ever be able to write? Is that at all in your brain at all with videos and ideas?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have a buddy who's a music producer full time, and we joke about like, it's like we get to do this job we like, but we joke like we don't even really know how much money we have or believe in it. Like it just feels like monopoly money. It's like, I guess I get an email that says we'll pay you this. We sign a contract and it's put in an account. I'm like, is that in there? Did I deserve that? And then you just I joke my wife like 3 times a year. I go, just start prepping now. The career's tanking. I sense it. People are done. They're done with Trey. Yep. And she's like, very fun. And there's that sense of, I mean, this is going to peak at some point. And even when it peaks, like, how hard is it going to go downhill? And I mean, that's always.
But you're so wise to be doing the live stand-up stuff too, because I feel like that's such a great, you know, that's a much more understood sort of path and trajectory, and you know, and I think that's the thing that is always so fascinating to me about, you know, people who have careers, the content creators who are just online. Like everything they're doing is based on that, which is great and obviously extremely profitable. But, you know, at some point you do wonder, because we don't know. I mean, you as much as anybody, you're sort of the tip of the spear on that. Like this is just all new it's all new lands we're exploring. Like who knows how it goes, who knows shelf life, if people kind of, you know, to your point, if all of a sudden, you know, a platform disappears, you know, you just don't know. And so I think the great thing about what you're doing is to be able to go, no, we need to kind of get this into books. Let's get stand-up going. Let's get like more traditional, not quite as based on that, just so you have those things going too, which I think is really wise, you know.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm very grateful the stand-up and the touring has worked, because I think that's done a lot to alleviate my terror of like, man, these videos, and like a couple months go by, the views are going down. You're like, what is it really? Can I not figure this out? And, you know, thus far, I've always figured it out. It goes like this and ups and downs, but it is nice to know, like, okay, I can go in the city and sell some amount of tickets. And to have that a whole other business, it feels like, really grateful for, because it'd be tough to purely be content, because it's so unpredictable and so out of your control.
Well, that, you know,
which the ticket buying and straight to customers just gives so much control back.
Well, I remember talking to we've had Tyler from Dude Perfect on, and talking to them, which fascinated me, because they did a cruise and they had me come play on it, and we were all hanging, and even they were saying, I mean, you know, they're one of the biggest content creators in the world, but they were like, Dave, there's not necessarily, they don't really honor us at YouTube. Like they love that we're on their platform, we all make money, but there's not a sense of every time we put a video out there juicing it. He's like, it's not as much as a crapshoot. It's like a small brand new person doing it, but he's like, it's not as, you said it so well before, like I have this many followers, it's going to hit that follow, you know, that blew my mind, because you think like people like you, then these people who really do big content and doing big numbers, like they're like, dude, let's do it. But he's like, it's just not. So he said, even we will have, you put out a video and you're kind of looking at it going, okay, let's hope it catches. And I'm like, that blows my mind, because there's just so little control, you know?
There's so little control. I mean, I don't know how stressed Dude Perfect is. They're like billionaires, so I don't feel bad for them at all. But just for context too, like there was a phase there where Facebook was like all in on video, and clearly their algorithm was just firing out the like 3-4 minute videos, and I was getting easy 5 million views video, which was monetizing. And now it's, TikTok changed everything.
Yeah.
Everything's short and vertical. And like when Facebook was like 1 year, Facebook was probably 40% of my income on those views. This year it's going to be 2%.
Really?
I mean, it's
crazy.
like when else in business has there been this insane and like just like that, TikTok started some new program where they'll pay you for some views. So where I made $0 on TikTok, now there's like not a huge amount, but a fairly significant. And it's just weird like that, where I've had numerous experiences on different platforms where you get an email, and overnight they're like, we just flipped this switch where now you go from $0 to thousands of dollars for this. And it's like,
it's crazy.
I guess that's cool, but this is scary too.
It would
you
be
could just
like
press a button.
Back in the day, like Eddie Murphy is doing a stadium tour, and like Live Nation's like, you know what? We actually changed things. So like 90% of the people who bought tickets, we gave them the wrong address.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like, hey, this year you're gonna do the same thing and make 20% as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, crazy to me.
Okay. I guess I have to, and that's what I say. Thank God for touring and other things, because my income hasn't gone down 40% because of other things I'm trying to do, and thank God I'm doing it. But there's so many kids out there who are, not even kids anymore. Everyone, they're like, okay, YouTube is my thing. I'm making this money, and then the whole thing shifts, and they make half of what they thought they were going to make. I mean, it's wild.
So how has we were talking about Thomas, right? Your little guy, 6-month-old
little guy Thomas.
How has that? I mean, I saw the video. I was watching it this morning about where you're watching the the monitor. But I mean, that has to be such a fun thing, because now you got like a couple more colors in the in the paints that you can sort of. Have you found that that's changed a lot of your humor, or sort of what you're trying to do, or as a dad, and how you're thinking about what you do?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all my comedy and how I've always written it is just my experiences. So it's been a great new. I mean, yeah, if you're in writer's block and you're a comedian, just have a kid.
Yeah.
It's a great reason.
Yeah.
That's why you should have them for your own.
It's a write-off too, just FYI.
Yeah, it's a write-off.
Oh, the tax benefits are amazing.
Oh, unbelievable. It has been fun just to relate to, not even professionally, just my friends too. I mean, as you guys know, I mean, becoming a parent is just a whole new world. And it's been fun to relate to those people, make fun of people who aren't parents.
Everything.
And it's really... That has just been a great life experience.
I imagine too, because I'm sure it has to be opening up some new fans for you, because people, moms who might not have watched the stuff before suddenly are getting forwarded, like that video, and then they relate to it, and then they start scrolling more, or they're following you or paying more attention, because now it's like, oh, he's making kid jokes, and I know that humor, and that's my life,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so, and there's a balance. I try to do all of it, not because then you're like, am I alienating non-parents?
Yeah.
And that's in your head. But by and large, I mean, a lot of my following is just very similar to me, and so it's kind of cool to grow with them. And I had a lot of parent fans, so I see a ton of comments and them saying like, "Well, we're so glad you're part of the club now, because now we got all this content." And it's I remember when Katie was pregnant, so I wasn't a parent yet, and she wasn't either. That's a big thing. Oh, I tell you what, I've got in trouble for that. I'm so glad Katie wasn't pregnant during Mother's Day. I had some friends, they were pregnant with their first on Mother's Day. They're like, we got to go celebrate Mother's Day. I was like, for what? And Katie jumped down my throat. She's like, they're creating life. They're beautiful. And I was like, okay. And it's so funny. This guy was so clueless. I was so convinced. I was like, I'm surprised you're mad at this, but I'll never say that again. I did a show once where I was like, any moms here? And a girl raised her hand. I was like, how old's your kid? She's like, well, I'm pregnant. I was like, well, you're not a mom. And the crowd was kind of like, oh, I was like, what? She's not. So sorry. But there should, I mean, if you're still first trimester though.
Yeah. If
you're like 8 months.
But that is fodder.
Really...
Like for you, that is like, you're like, oh, this is gold right here.
But I tried to, in preparation, it was tricky too, because I knew I would be touring all over as a dad. So as I'm prepping my hour as not a dad, I'm trying to at least set some foundations for some of these bits.
Mm-hmm.
And as every parent knows, I mean, I completely underestimated it. I had no clue.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no clue till you're actually doing it. So I remember trying to do this bit about how, like, come on, parenting's not that hard. Like, come on, basically. And as someone who wasn't even a parent yet,
Yeah,
it never went that well. And I became a parent. I've not uttered the joke since.
You
I was like, that was just wrong.
You knew.
Yeah. that was a good thing to learn. Yeah.
So how has it been for you becoming a dad? Like, has it been kind of what you expected? Did you always want to be a dad? Has it been harder than you thought?
It's all those. I would tell Katie, I was like, being a dad is just something I kind of, it's kind of like joining a fraternity. It's like, I don't think I ever wanted to. I was just, everyone was
doing it.
And like, it turned out,
a place to sleep.
glad, like being a dad, I was like, I'm definitely glad I did it. It's been a good time. I don't know if I was like ever like, oh, I can't wait to be stuck at home.
Yeah.
You know? But as she but I guess maybe deep down I did. I remember the time, we first saw the pregnancy test was positive, and that was the most emotional point of all of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
In a weird way. I was just that was even more. I mean, him obviously being birthed was very overwhelming, but even more so emotionally when that pregnancy strip was positive, I was like,
"There we go.
Okay, this isn't like a funny joke anymore."
Yeah.
And so it's been an amazing experience. Definitely harder than I thought in terms of like just my patience and I because I was like, man, I'm doing this whole thing. I'm touring the country. I feel like my life is hard and I'm doing it. I mean, everyone has kids. I know a lot of dummies with kids. But you do it, and it's very humbling because my wife's like so many moms are. She's just like got this extra gear and this like bizarre mommy superpower where I'm like, dude, I'm done. And she's just she keeps going. And so we're glad to be past the wild first 8 weeks, 10 weeks.
It
or whatever,
just gets easier from here.
So much.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's so much easier.
So easy.
They're really compliant once they learn how to talk too.
Once they start walking, then they can go do things for you.
Yeah. So have you? I mean, speaking of that, I mean, has it been a struggle for y'all, or what has it been like for y'all? I've heard that far too much because of my experience. What has it been like for y'all having the hours that you do, like we do, where you're kind of around? You know what I mean? It's like you're working, but unless you're going somewhere else to do it, it's tricky. Those first.
I can hear your voice.
I'm
You're
gonna
like, does she nag you a lot too? Yeah, no.
You're going to work. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, so
that's the tricky scenario when it's like middle of the day. My wife Amy's like, "Hey, can you do this thing, or can you pick the girls up or whatever?" And I'm like, "Well, I've gotta." And she's like, "What?"
Yeah, finish that sentence, please.
What? Yeah.
If she were here, she would be like, "I do not do that."
You don't have a job.
Exactly.
On your little keys,
are you writing?
Your little piano?
Okay. Well, what'd you write today?
Right. Yeah. What'd you write? Let me hear it. Play it.
Yeah, that's
man,
what you
relate
worked
on.
You
that's
worked
it,
on that?
Dude. That's something that the first, the newborn phase obviously was locked in. We're doing it, and then we had a whole game plan. It was well planned out. When he was about 3 months, I started getting back traveling. So it was like in a good groove, but I toured pretty good for a couple months, and I've had kind of a month off ish, which we were thrilled about. I was thrilled about staying home, just chilling. And then we had issues. And then it was like, what? Okay, I still have a job, right? I need to go do it. And so that's been a lot of communication of kind of, just what I want to be home and around, and I want to help, but also like you can't ask me to help too much because I still think I need to provide for our family. But what's the balance? And our jobs are creative, which oftentimes you can like just a bit ago. So now I go to our studio more often. I was like, I want to be around you guys. So I'm not leaving. I'm like, I just got to go. And it's like a couple hours ago, I caught myself. I was like, I don't know if I've done anything productive for an hour.
Oh, I know.
It's like, and she's back there like trying to get him to like eat a sweet potato. Come on. And I'm like, but I am like working, and then our job's fun. I go to her. She's like, and she's promised not to hold it over me. I was like, that my job's fun, but sometimes she can't help
Oh,
it. She's
man.
like, well, you're running around having cocktails on boats in Florida.
Right.
I was like, I know. I'm sorry.
And you got to try
I'm
to
in
spin
Florida
it
all day. What
negatively.
do I do?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
but the cocktail, it's lukewarm, and this boat
Yeah.
is so noisy.
I didn't, yeah. I went on the boat. I didn't sunscreen my nipples, so they're bleeding.
They're
We're
bleeding.
both.
Yeah.
See, I get it.
Oh,
I mean,
my
it's
God.
and it's. I mean, it is. It's shocking how much of a toll it does take on the woman, which again I underestimated. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they've got to fully make. Look at us, get this brownie points, clip this, and
Just loop it.
send it to our wife. I mean, they got to fully make it, and then you're like, okay, woo, she's done with that. I mean, I'm glad she's not, and it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's weird too, like John
It's
said,
wild.
because again, what we do, I don't envy other people's jobs much because I love what I do. But man, the moments where it's like, especially in the season y'all are in, because now they get into school and everything kind of starts going. It's like if she's not working and she's at home, she's got time during the day now, and it's great. She kind of gets her life back some. But it's tricky because it's like you're trying. It's like navigating that space and not especially those early years where everybody's tired, and you're trying not to enjoy your life because that's the worst thing you can do. So it's like every day you come up, she's like, how'd it go? I'm like,
you went and had fun again.
just wrote a great song. It's so annoying. It's so hard when you just have a chorus that feels massive, and so that was like whatever that was. But I guess it'll pay for the new,
throat hurts.
bicycle for the kid, whatever. We don't even care about that anymore.
Let's do what I gotta
just
do.
do
Yeah,
but
that's
I mean, there were
real.
just so many times where coming home, I was like, boy, how do I play this? Because I'm really happy about what happened today. But she's like, covered in poo and crying out of one eye, and you're kind of like, like. And then she'd be like, "Don't diminish it. I actually need to hear you had a good day." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's too happy.
did it
Too
wrong.
happy.
Ugh.
Dial it down.
Too happy.
Dude, thank you so much for being on. So we do what we call the speed round here at the end. And let me say this too. I want to replug this because I was watching it today and it's so great. You do have your comedy special up, and it's really freaking funny. The Are You For Real?
Oh,
which
thanks.
is really, really funny. So for anybody listening that wants to go watch that, it's really good. And so, okay, so speed round. We'll do just 4 of these. We'll do one each. But here we go. Buckle up. Favorite character to do?
I give it the basic girl character.
Yeah.
It's just been a staple, and
Don't you find
Just
too?
part of me
That's
now.
what I was gonna
Part of
say.
you,
Like
yeah.
I do videos and characters and stuff, and not near to the as much as you do. But my favorite ones are like I could hit record and go 3 hours, and it'll all be new because something about this character is just in my brain, and it's just going. And those are
For sure.
so much fun to write. But that's
the best.
yours. Just a bit like the basic.
Yeah, and it's cool how some of I don't have a ton, but the characters I do have, how much they've kind of naturally just
Yeah.
become
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the years. Like now she has a name and a wardrobe, and it's just to expect. Yeah,
That's so great.
All right,
fun.
what's the least favorite character to do? Or maybe the hardest character to do?
This might surprise people, but the middle schooler, his Maddox,
yeah.
they call
Yeah,
him. But
yeah.
that one's fun. People, man, that talk about an idea I threw up one day where I was like, should I even post this? And then it got like 30 million views, like
Good
unbelievable. I think I got a whole influx of fans who are like more in their 40s because they have those like middle school age kids, and that like people on the road, they'll be like, the middle school videos, that people love that character, but it's just the whole character is like convulsing and shouting and like grunting, like,
Yeah.
and it kind of hurts my head to do it.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, when you've been doing it for like 3 hours and you're driving home and you're like, I'm just pissed. Why?
Yeah.
I'm still Maddox.
Katie has a few times been like, are you doing the character? That was
Are you
weird.
bringing
I'm
him
like,
home
I think
now?
I
Is that what's
could.
happening?
Bring Trey back.
Yeah. Where's
Yeah,
Trey?
this is weird.
Okay, if you could do like a comedic collab video with anyone, and let's just say we're included too, but who would that be? Like, who's like the dream? Who are some of the dream lists for collab videos?
The guys that pop in my head are Kevin James,
Mhm.
Ray Romano. Those are the guys I was raised
Ah.
on because I get asked so many times, your inspiration, and I grew up sheltered, good Christian boy, and I wasn't allowed to watch 90% of it. People are like Seinfeld, right? The classic. I was like, I was not. They were running around town, New York City, which is an evil city, by the way.
Of course,
convoluting with, and so Everett Raymond, King of Queens, was pushing it, but wasn't allowed, and I thought those guys were hilarious. So
that I think I really do believe this. I think the tightest 30 minutes that I've ever seen of comedy, Kevin James Sweat the Small Stuff to me, I think from the beginning and the end, is literally maybe the tightest 30 minutes I've ever seen.
And again, I didn't watch a lot of stand-up growing up because, very, very little of it was clean. I remember the blue-collar guys. What of that was clean? Of course, like Foxworth, and my dad loved Larry the Cable Guy, but Sweat the Small Stuff was one that, like, I didn't even really know what stand-up was. I was like 16. I remember watching that just being like, man, how is he? It's just him on a stage. How is he so funny?
He doesn't miss. It is. I remember it's a true story. I ordered it on the phone from Comedy Central VHS because I saw the special. It was like, call 1-800. I was like, hello. I was like, can I order? I don't know where it goes, but I mean, I loved.
Yeah.
That was such a great stand-up set.
Love it.
All right, we're going to land the whole plane on this last question. Favorite song of all time? Both of Dave and my entire catalog is up for grabs here.
Yeah.
Just
keep asking until I answer you.
Let's do it one more time.
Okay, second favorite.
Podcaster who's also singer.
Like in the Nashville area.
One that popped in my head, Climax by Usher.
Oh, look at you.
Usher.
Usher is my favorite artist.
That's the second Usher reference of this conversation.
That's why it's my favorite artist of all time. He has a Vegas residency that I'm going to get to at some point. But I was raised on musically. What I loved seeing in the shower was like Usher, Rascal Flatts, a little bit Timberlake.
Oh yeah,
right in that right. But
a lot of vocal dexterity.
Exactly. I was in there doing it, just getting after it. And Usher is like my all-time fave, and that song's my favorite Usher song.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, dude, thank you so much for hanging.
Yeah, man, this has been great.
That was really fun. Thank you all for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it.